Hey everybody, Jacob here from the Formula Drift podcast. We have an awesome deal for you. So if you head over to shopfd.com and use coupon code podcast23, you're going to save 20% on any merch. So anything you can find on that website, use podcast23 at shopfd.com. Save yourself 20%. Hats, shirts, lanyards, whatever. Just use the code. Save yourself some money. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Outerzone, the official podcast of Formula Drift. My name is Jacob Gettins, and we've got Mr. Ola Jaeger on this week. How's it going?
I'm good.
Good?
Glad to be here.
Finally, I know, dude. It's good. I mean,
I'm excited.
I know, dude. I'm pretty pumped too. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. I think there was like a dinner we were at, and you're like, okay, when are we doing this? So I'm glad that we finally got it sorted. I'm not gonna lie, I'm happy that you're stateside and not in Norway. Because like as much as I don't mind getting up at 5 a.m., doing a podcast at 5 a.m. is never fun. So
me too. It's way easier for sure.
Yeah. Where are you right now? I know it seems like you're in a hotel room. So
yeah, I'm in a hotel room. I'm in Santa Ana right now, near Costa Mesa. I've traveled around a little bit with Frederick Aspo down in Carlsbad, beautiful place. Went down to unpack my stuff from the season at Blood Motorsport in Torrance last night. So I'm just like trying to move around as much as possible here on the West Coast to see if I can meet some good people.
Nice. Have you done work with Blood Motorsport before? I feel like that's like a relatively new thing.
Yeah, not before this year, but we kind of knew each other by messaging each other for the past 5 years. He moved all his stuff from France over to here, and he's doing a really good job. He's making a name for himself for sure. And the work he's doing is just, he redid my back end on the car after a couple of crashes this year, and the work he did is amazing. So it's just a new friend of mine, but it's all about making connections, right?
Yeah.
And for me being here instead of going back home to icy Norway right now feels like I'm extending the season a little bit, and that's a good thing.
Well, this is like the hard part, right? This is the in-between time where a lot of the hustle and like what happens before next year happens. Like I've been, just with my day job, like chatting with brands, and they're like, everyone's getting ready for SEMA right now and getting all that stuff set up. So like, there's a lot of work that goes on, even though Irwindale's already over.
Yeah, it is for sure. And that's the thing over here. I feel like there's more of an off season where more things happen than back home. We have some ice drifting, of course, but we don't have the race season. So seems like people are not doing too much back home, more introvert people, in Norway, and we don't see each other that much. So here it seems like it's still moving pretty fast, either though it's off season.
Yeah, I'm slammed with meetings this week, like pre-SEMA stuff, and it's been hectic. And yeah, I mean, it's good though. It's cool that you're staying. I know that's obviously like a big move too, because you're taking a lot of time away from work, and it's more travel, it's hotels, like it's just a bigger expense, but more of an investment into potentially what could happen next year, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a big commitment being here for sure, with work and everything back home has to be on standby. I'm here till after SEMA, and I think it's definitely worth it. So this is another thing I wanted to try for a couple of years, just to see if that could help me get further in for the upcoming season, then have to be waiting on things happen in January, February, like previous years. So I think definitely is a commitment, but it's definitely worth it.
Sick. And you said you're hanging out with Freddie. I think it's obviously you guys like being countrymen. You're gonna know each other, but your relationship with Freddie goes like way back. Like you guys have known each other for a really long time.
Yeah, we've been go-karting together. He is obviously a couple of years older than me. So we were in go-karting together. We were at the same home track in Norway. Always seeing him and his sister. They both did go-karting. And he's always been the same good guy and helpful. And for sure, he's mentoring me a lot with good ideas and trying to guide me in the right direction. Even though his path, is different than mine. We can never replicate each other's path to do good. But for sure, he's a good human being, and he has a lot of good words for me to proceed my dream, So we known each other for a long time, and I feel like we can speak straight up. And it's important to have someone that knows what this is, because you can't talk to everybody about what is FD, what is proceeding that dream. And he is definitely one that knows how to do it. And he did this all by himself almost. So to have him talking straightforward to me and tell me what to do or not to do is definitely an important factor for sure.
Well, I think too with that, like obviously it's not something I've like really run into, but even just being able to communicate with somebody in the same language, like it's faster, it's more efficient. You can kind of like, you can get to the point better or communicate, I guess, more efficiently than, having to have a mentor or somebody who's speaking a language that you're not as familiar with, although your English is obviously pretty spot on. So it's not that big of a deal.
No, but for sure, it's way easier to speak your own language. It always is, and maybe getting the right sentence and the right words out in a quicker way for sure. But it's also that being a good friend to each other and have a good friendship, that it's a good thing when you're at the race. You have someone you can go talk to in your own language and get some good words or some, share ups anytime. And we're lucky to be 3 Norwegians in FD. I think that's a pretty cool thing to be 5 million people in total back home.
Yeah, I still want to understand like why is it Norway and why is it Ireland that just is producing some of the best drifting athletes in the world? Like obviously there's a huge culture around it, and like watching Norwegian Drift Championship, like it's incredibly difficult. Like it is like top tier drivers. And I think a lot of people in the US who don't watch it don't realize like how competitive both of those series are. It's wild.
I guess we're all crazy over there, I think everybody starts driving as soon as they can, whatever they can drive. If there's a lawnmower, they can tune up, or, everybody is almost living on the countryside, I would say. Countryside compared to what a American city is, So there's always a spot where you can go to drift around or slide around on the snow and even on wet asphalt, But the level is crazy high, and people are now looking to go. They look at the best car, the best driver, the best series, and they want to be like those. So they're already starting off building badass cars, driving simulators, doing everything they can to get better. Because I feel like when we started, we just did, okay, let's go there. It looks fun to go compete there. We go there. And even though it's just like coincidence, but now I feel like people are so well planned. They're so good at what they're doing already from the beginning. Look at the young people going straight to simulators. They see what we do, others do. James Dean, for instance. They're just, I also think that the drivers now at the high level are better off showing how they got good. Like, look at James's video logs as well, showing a full lap, showing what he's doing inboard. And it's a good thing because we're adopting more people to the sport by making them interested in what we're doing.
Yeah, and we're providing the information, right? Like, there's a lot of motorsports. I mean, you coming from karting, like, there's a lot of like hush, like we don't talk about what we're doing to the kart. We don't talk about, maybe where our braking point is or how we're balancing the kart out or whatever. Whereas in drifting, it's like, I mean, it's really the motorsport that's come along with the internet age, right? Like, it was built in the internet age. It's grown in the internet age. So like, it's very open to giving out what would normally be proprietary info.
It is, for sure. And like you say, go-kart, we didn't tell each other nothing. It was like almost hate on each other if someone won. Like, it was a totally different thing. And I don't think we got any better by doing that. I think we get better by helping each other up and push the sport forward. And I think if we did that in other sports as well, I think they will be a lot further away. Because in drifting, there you can go ask your main competitor, maybe not before the battle, but maybe that too. But I think the sport is definitely have a good way of helping out each other.
I think like the one thing in drifting that people still kind of keep hush is like tire pressures. Even though like I've talked to almost every driver on the grid about tire pressures, and you guys are all within like 3 to 4 PSI of each other. So I don't know why.
Does that seem weird? It seems a bit weird, right?
Yeah, everyone's I don't want them to know what pressure I'm running. I'm like, listen, you're all, like, I could ask the whole grid. I'm like, you're all between, like 8 and 12 PSI, like all of you. So don't worry about it.
By looking at the tire, you could tell. Like, looking at the tire, it's almost flat everywhere. Like, every guy's almost running a flat tire.
Those Nittos, I don't know how those Nittos hold on to the wheels, man, because, like, I feel like sometimes they are flat or they've got, like, 3 PSI in them. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is for sure crazy. The whole sport has gotten crazy.
Yeah, no, it's been wild, and I mean, I think too another interesting thing that even just in my own research that I kind of developed is like how long you've been in the sport too. Like I think we're all very short sighted that we think, okay, when somebody comes into FD, that's when they started drifting, or maybe like a year or two before. But like you've been at this for a little bit, and you've also owned a lot of crazy cars. You kind of have a bad habit of like taking championship cars or like pro level crazy cars, picking those up for crazy deals and then just driving them.
Yeah, I've been lucky to have Japan Auto.
Yeah.
When I started drifting, I didn't have any money. I was just an apprentice on a body repair shop back home, and he believed in me. So he kind of gave. At first, I bought a Supra from him. Then I bought the Kasama S15 just on a down payment thing because I just wanted that car. I was stupid, 18 years old, and yeah. But he saw the potential. I came second in my second race. Drift event back in Norway. I came second behind Fredrik Gospel in the S15. I almost had him, like you said. But then he saw the potential, and I started off building the Supra we have here now. So I've been in that car for over 10 years, but developing it. But yeah, I love cars, and I love the whole JDM culture. I think it's cool with all the carbon flares and all the old school JDM drift cars. So yeah, and it's funny how that car ended up in the States again. Now it's JDM Supreme that has one.
Yeah. So I guess like to clear it, this is the chassis you're running right now is not Chucky, right? Like that.
It's not Chucky.
Right. It is like Chucky 2.0.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay.
It is for sure.
So the original.
So my car.
Yeah, go ahead.
My car that I run now was built in 2011, like a super grassroots build with twin turbos, just like we put a good roll cage in it. That's still in the car, but we developed it. We built that car from the bottom up 3 or 4 times. To where it's at now. But this chassis has never been seeing the biggest crashes. Chucky was built by 3 different cars.
Yeah, Chucky saw some shit, to put it politely. Like it's been in the wall a few times and it's seen a few wrecks in its day.
But it's still a good car though. Imagine the same engine in Chucky. It's been there for 10 years.
Is it really?
It's stock engine with a big turbo. It's a stock bottom end, stop head.
Wow.
Stock. But it's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good car.
What did it make for horsepower?
750.
Okay, so that seems to be like the level then for anybody listening at home of like building a 2J. Like keep it, don't go above 750.
Maybe. But we ran that for 3 years in Pro Spec, and it's still going strong here on the West Coast.
Oh, really? Okay. Can you say who's got it now?
Yeah, I got him on Instagram. He's from the West Coast for sure, but I don't know his name.
Okay.
But he asked me a few questions when things stopped working. But it's still running, so he's happy about it. That's a good car.
Yeah.
It's not overbuilt. And I think going Pro Spec or Pro Am or lower levels, just build a car that is to the level and build a car for your level as you're increasing your level by yourself. I don't think an overbuilt car will take you any further.
That's a solid point. I think that's like such a common thing where guys are like, I just want to build it so it's like pro ready. And it's like, well, certain things you should build so it's pro ready, like the cage. Like that's not something you want to redo. Like build the cage, be ready for fire suppression or put that in right away if you can afford it. Like certain things be pro ready, but like you don't need a 1200 horsepower engine in Pro Am. And like,
no, for sure.
Yeah.
I think chassis, as you say, and roll cage, fire extinguisher, the safety has to be there anyways, because you're going to crash no matter what. It's not about if, it's when, right? But a good chassis and then build your engine and the things around as you develop it. I think that's a smart way of doing it.
I've talked about it before, but like Robert Thorne still runs a stock fuel cell and a front mount rad, and he's in pro. Like he's not the most competitive guy in pro right now, but considering he won Pro Spec with that exact same chassis, and I think they only changed 1 or 2 things moving up to Pro, just like suspension-wise, and that was it.
I don't think the car is bad at all, and I think he's a really good driver. I think he's really good at adapting to the pro level pretty fast. I'm impressed by how fast he did it, and he's obviously an experienced driver, but I think that car is really good. I think they know the chassis really well. They know what they got, and I think it's kind of like it looks like it's working well.
Yeah,
but he's pushing hard for sure.
Yeah, he drives super, super aggressive. I mean, it's good to see like just how quickly that's developed. But so what is your, so how did you get like introduced to drifting then? Like throwing it way back before, was that through Japan Auto? Was that just like knowing, I don't know if you knew Freddie, I guess you knew him through karting at that point, but like what gave you the bug to get into drifting?
I was go-kart practicing on one of the local tracks where Gatbil is today. Mm-hmm. And there's a go-kart track on the other side. And in between my heats, I went to look at there was kind of like a Ford meet or something like that, like a track day. And they were drifting. And I think Fredrik was drifting his E30 BMW over there. Okay. And I kind of knew him from a distance before that. I saw him drifting and I said like to myself, I'm kind of tired of karting, been competitive. I've been doing the European Championship, we're competitive. And I was pushing myself so hard mentally and physically and everything in go-kart. So when I saw someone had fun that had been in go-kart before, I thought like, this is the most fun you can have in a car. I'm positive this is it. And it wasn't like then because I was 16 at the moment. So I couldn't start driving before I was 18. But my friend Joachim back in Norway, he got himself an RX-7 that I helped him get together for a track day. He got a permit to drive when he was 17. He was the first in Norway to drive under 18. Huh. So I went with him to Gatbil. We were 17 years old. We had the blast and he was driving and I was hooked, but I didn't have any money. So then the journey started of trying to get a car. But yeah, I got introduced by friends because in our, you've been in Norway where I live, it's a lot of car culture. And it seemed like drifting just came and stayed. It just exploded. Like one guy had a car, like Fredrik had a car, another friend had a car, then the other. It just exploded at that year, like when we were 17 years old. So that's in 2007. Yeah. That's when it's really exploded. In 2008, I started though.
Okay. Yeah, it really is interesting how like drifting as a car culture is in Norway. Like I would almost put it as close to like what NASCAR is in the US. Like it's like even people who aren't into it are fully aware of it. Like just meeting people at the one gas station we stopped at in the middle of the winter, like they were asking us like, they obviously could tell I didn't speak Norwegian. And then they asked, like, oh, where are you going? And we're like, oh, we're going ice drifting. And they're like, oh, cool. Yeah, I've got a car. And it was like this like 45-year-old man that like ran a gas station. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's crazy. So
yeah, it is crazy. It's just like it's gotten this way, but I think Fredrik and let's put Fredrik on top. Yeah. He has done a lot of work to make drifting a legit sport, I would say, because he's been doing well in front of a camera. He's been doing well in interviews everywhere. He's been a good ambassador for the sport. So I think we should thank him a lot to like push the sport forward in our country, to not be, the redneck thing that everybody does on the streets, to be at the track where it's a respected sport. And I think all of us has kind of learned from him going in way in before us. And we try to match that up by being good people as well. So I think that is why drifting has the respect in Norway that it has right now. And, with a total of 5 million people, if you first got big newspaper once, everybody knows what it is.
Yeah.
But it's hard to stay at that level.
Norway's got like the same population as like Chicago. Like it's but like, obviously significantly bigger. So yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it. Chicago feels bigger almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Even like Oslo is not that big. Like I remember coming into Oslo and I was like, oh, it's like a suburb. And you're like, oh, this is our biggest city. And it's like, oh, okay.
It's not that it's too busy, right?
Yeah, it's not busy. And it's just such a different culture too. Like everybody in public is very like quiet and to themselves, and like nobody really wants to be like noticed, if that makes sense. Like there's not a lot of like flashy, loud people. But then in private, you guys are wild. Like the house parties I've been to, and just like
they're pretty good.
They're pretty good. Yeah, they're pretty good. You guys are like low key some of the craziest drinkers I've ever experienced too. It's head to head between you guys and the Swedes. Because I did notice that at Gatbil, the Swedes would go
until
Irish. Yeah, I was keeping it like, in the Scandinavian section. Ireland's got, they're competing with like England and Scotland. Like that's a whole other tournament. So, But yeah, the Swedes, man, it's at Gatbil, they were going till like 4 or 5 in the morning. What I always find funny is that they have to put breathalyzers trackside to make sure that people are sober to drive at those events.
And you can do it without getting a ticket. So you can go there to the police and do a check before you go on track. But they had to do that because, back in the days, things were different.
Yeah. So speaking of Gatbil, like if obviously I would assume a lot of people here have known about it, but there is one particular event in Gatbil, which you have done quite well at as well. Can you explain to everybody listening what Super 3 is and how that works?
Yeah, so Gatbil had to do, or they didn't have to do, but they wanted to do something different. We had the power slide competition. There's just one corner, one car at a time. And it's a lot of like sessions where you go around and drive your car. But we wanted to do something else. So a group of people at Gatbil said, what can we do to make a whole other thing out of Gatbil? Have a good Friday thing when people arrives, they're drinking beers at the grandstand and have fun. So they figured out, let's make 3-car teams instead of competing against each other. Team up three guys in 3 cars, and there are 30 teams, maybe 40 teams with 3 cars each. We have to work together as a team and drive as close as possible, like a drift battle. But there's 3 cars that has to be as close as possible through a route on the track, hitting clipping points, and working together so it looks symmetrically. And that's the whole thing. So the best team that works best together win the whole show. So we have qualifying, 2 runs qualifying, actually. It's the same procedure as the drift event.
Yeah.
But we're running just top 12, top 8, top 4, and the finals. But it's gotten crazy. We did it 5 times. We won. I think we won it 5 times now, me and Frederick and Tranders.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are wild.
It's crazy.
Didn't you win it once in like an automatic Soarer?
I drive the Soarer now this year.
Okay.
And it's not automatic, but it's 400 horsepower running on the cheapest gas you can get. And when you get on the last corner, there's nothing left. It's just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And oil popping out of the gearbox. It's just like, it's been the practice car for many years. And it's back to that 2J. It haven't been touched in 10 years, but it's still running.
That's wild.
But that takes me back to that practice as well. When you're competing here, you're pushing everything, equipment, driver, everything. And you go back and you just have fun driving a good chassis, but just welded knuckles, stock engine, and you do well because you don't care about it. You just have fun. And that's what I mean as well. You can have equally fun in a cheaper car for sure.
Yeah, I think obviously like your build is definitely good. I mean, it's not the crazy technological that we see with like RTR or Papadakis car, but like, I know the last couple of years have been a bit of a struggle, but that's also been developing that chassis to kind of be within FD. And you've also, you're a solo guy. You've got a pretty small team. So it's like what, you and 2 guys now?
Yeah, we are 2 guys at the most. We are. And they're good guys. They're helping. And obviously I couldn't pay them too much. So they're helping me because they want to. And I couldn't be here without them. But as you said, it has been a struggle the last 2 years. But I feel like I say to everybody that asked, I learned more the previous 2, this year and last year. I learned more than my whole previous career. Mm-hmm. I learned so much this year and last year about the pro level. And I'm so amazed and a little bit scared of seeing how fast the sport develops over here. FD Pro and Pro Spec, like FD Pro for me though, is developing so fast that you have to be on top of the game every single lap. Even if it's practice, you could tell by how people are pushing, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say we're like unsuccessful the last couple of years, but we definitely, I have experience I wouldn't be without because I learned so many things about car setup, my driving style. Even though I didn't get the results I wanted, my driving style has improved a lot. I'm pushing more, I'm being more on the edge, and I feel like I'm close but no cigar. Could put it that way.
Yeah.
Like I could equally won a battle or 2 this year, and maybe I got the confidence to get to grade 8, Final 4, because it's the way the sport is. But I think we have many years to come, and I think I would definitely push hard.
Yeah, you've definitely gotten more aggressive. I mean, I think in Pro Spec, you were a Pro 2 at the time, but like you were definitely one of those guys to watch out for. And you were consistent as all get out. Like it was crazy. And like I've said this to people before, where like pro spec now is all about being consistent. Like if you can be consistent, you can take home a championship. Like that's what it is. Don't go crazy. Don't do anything stupid. Just get your runs down, fill the points. Like don't run it off track and you're going to do well. Pro is all of that, but then, as you said, running the razor's edge for 99% of the lap. And that's the difference between the two.
I think so too. You're definitely right. And I think it's really important to have the equipment, the team, the everything that makes you can be able to go. Let's say you can drive on 92% of your level. You don't have to be at 100. You have the equipment, you have everything, so you can not relax, but you can definitely hold back the last percentage to the final and still be a consistent good driver. That's what you can tell the best drivers doing in pro. They're driving at the edge, but not completely on the other side of the edge. Mm-hmm. So I think in pro, you have to be consistent, but you have to push more than you think you're able to at some times.
Yeah, I think that's an important part where like you have to have that trust, right? Like the trust in the chassis that it's going to hold, it's going to do the things you want it to do. Because I mean, it's really easy to watch it and critique it, but then you look at even an event like Irwindale where you're on that wall, for 75, 80% of that first bank, right? Like you literally initiate and they want you on the wall the entire way around. But like,
yeah,
it's so insanely difficult to put a car there and hold it there.
Yeah, and that is one thing as well. But the grip level in these cars are just like, if you do a mistake, it looks so fatal in a way. It's like it does look almost stupid on the outside because you would know that you were driving yourself on snow or lower grip level cars. The car wouldn't act that way. But with the grip level we're putting in the cars, it just looked weird on the outside, even though you're struggling on the inside, trying to make the cars put up on the wall, like you say, from the beginning of the wall. And it's pretty tough because you can feel that you're on the wall for most of the corner, but then you're missing the first half of it. So it's just the margins are so small and the cars and the grip and everything is insane. So that made me like realize how tough the level is. And I love it. I love when things are pushed to the limit. It just makes my drive even stronger.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good that you've got that mindset. I mean, that's the only way to get through it, right? Like is the perspective of learning and getting better and competing with the best and driving, arguably the most difficult chassis with the most difficult setups on the most difficult tracks. Like that's why you guys are all there is because it's not easy.
No, true. I'm proud to be in that family, I would say, because FD is a family. It's a moving circus moving around. And
it is a moving circus. Yeah.
That's the way to look at it, right? Like it's a moving circus. We're the same people at every track, but we're having a lot of fun. And I think the atmosphere in FD is the thing that I miss in off-season, meeting all the people, mechanics, crew chiefs, drivers, everyone, and the FD crew as well. It's like a family. I've been around for a few years, but it was first when I got into pro that I really feel like I got to know people. And I feel like that's why the sport is moving forward that fast as well, because not everybody's the best friends, but we're all friends and respect each other. And I think that we can talk to each other makes us more competitive than other series. And I think also the tracks comparable to the European tracks may look easier in a way, maybe from a live stream perspective, but they're definitely not, because we get pushed to go places on the track where it's not supposed to go. From a karting perspective, doing lap times, sometimes I feel like, this is not the ideal way to drive this track. But the judges say, you can go there. One dead, you can. And we're also trying, all of us, right?
Yeah. Do you still carry over like any of the karting instincts? Okay. So actually, before we get into that, this is actually kind of a funny story. Last year in Seattle, you and I and a group of friends all went out go-karting, and I had no idea of your background, and you came in and decimated everybody. And it wasn't a long track, right? Like it was like it was like a 32 second or 36 second track. And I'm like, I look at my lap time and I was like 8 or 9 seconds behind you. And I'm like, I don't understand this. And you're like, oh yeah, I've been karting most of my life. And I'm like, oh dude, what the hell, man? Like,
I still love karting, and if I was able to, I would have a go-kart in my garage, competitive go-kart, and go slick tires when it was raining. That's my dream to go because it's the instincts and I think the speed in the car. Let's say an RC car, you just drive around it so fast. But if you scale the speed down from cars to karting, your instincts get so freshened up. If you go so fast comparable to these cars. Like we're fast in FD as well, but if you go one day in a go-kart, a fast competitive go-kart, and get back in an FD car, you feel like you can open the door and walk out. It's like the difference is huge because the size is obviously different.
Yeah.
But the grip level and everything, it's I think I still carry on instincts for sure. Because apex, where to place my car, to look forward to the next corner while I'm in the one corner, I look way ahead. I don't think I would be able to do that and be that fast in a drift car without having my karting background for sure. And the balance of where the car is.
Yeah. No, that does make a lot of sense because those are all racecraft things that like no matter what racing you're doing, motocross, off-road, whatever, you're always looking way ahead of where you need to be. So you kind of came into it with that instinct already. And
I'm glad I have it still. But I still think that the instincts could have been sharpened up a little bit by go-karting some more. So if you're down, we're doing it.
I don't mind getting smoked again. I let everybody know I'm not a good driver. So yeah, I'm out there for fun. I mean, I had a blast. It was great. I mean, I ran into Jonathan Hurst. I think I smashed into Simon too. I'm not there to set lap records. I'm there to ruin other people's days. So it was, it was good.
It's good. It's a good mindset, sir.
Yeah. Is it so with go-karting in mind, looking at ages and circuits and everything else, I lined it up that there is a significant possibility that you would have raced against Valtteri Bottas. Did you ever actually? You did. Okay. That what the hell's that like? Like, was he just good?
Back in the days, actually, we were doing because it's from Finland.
Yeah.
There's like a qualification for the European Championship that was held in Italy.
Okay.
So the year was 2005. I was doing the international karting class. There's the fastest without gears. We were competing in a couple of races, and my old friend, like one of my friends back home, he found like lap times from back in the days where I was like a little bit faster than him in one of the rounds and stuff like that. But he obviously was Mercedes sponsor back then. They were doing it. They had an old Mercedes van, him and his father, dirty go-karts, dirty tools, dirty everything. And but they had a Mercedes star on the front of the go-kart. So I understand here is something. But in the European Championship, we crashed with many others in the start. So I had to start all the way in the back. And beside me was Valtteri. I wasn't thinking about it then, but I found some old pictures back home of me and Valtteri standing all the way in the back with the helmets on. And that's pretty funny right now.
That's pretty cool, man. I mean,
and I remember the start going off, and he was like, I'm going through. And one of my mechanic told me, like, follow that guy. He was just, putting people in the sand everywhere. He was just like, I'm going to win this race. So he was definitely fast. He was fast.
What a trip that is. I mean, you're in the top level of drifting and he's in the top level of open wheel. Like that's kind of sick.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And that we were all aiming for back in the days, going to Formula One. Yeah. I remember we were competing. I'm getting in the newspaper, me and my best friend, Joachim, back home. We were just like, who get in the newspaper, who won the race and who will win the next race. Because, there's 15, 16 race, almost 20 races a year in go-kart.
Right.
And everybody was pushing for Formula One. But then we were young, right? So we didn't know how much of a work we had to put into it.
Yeah, I mean, I never got into the karting side of things. I mean, I'm a big F1 fan now, but like the amount of time that you have to put in to get to that level is absolutely crazy. Like it's nuts. It's nuts, and it's just the thing you're doing in your life. I think it's just Formula One. It's a bubble. And a bit like FD as well, but I feel like it's a more social sport where you meet other people. I think F1 is like go-karting in a bigger scale in a way. Yeah. It's just you're in that bubble and you're in that bubble for 20 years. You're stuck there.
But they're committed. They're committed though.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I mean, that's such a kind of a cool, crossover of past. Maybe you should like reach out to him and be like, hey, you haven't seen me in a while, but this is what I looked like when I was 15. I'm
dreaming of it.
You should. I mean, we saw Max in Mad Mike's car, so like, why not get Valtteri in the Supra? I just want to put that out there.
It would have been a great.
It could still happen. It could still happen.
Yeah, maybe he will do good and then come over to drifting. Maybe that's the thing. You never know.
As soon as I saw Max drifting, I was like, if he gets hooked on this and really wants to do it, we're all in trouble. I mean, you guys are. I'm not. So. For me, it's fine, but for you guys, it's a problem.
Yeah, look at Kalle Rovanperä in FT Japan.
Yeah,
the world rally car driver. He's doing insanely good.
It's car control, crazy. Right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think also when you see those guys coming from motocross and stuff like that, they have the balance in their body. They have been, and even though people that's been in like fighting, like MMA or judo or like those also has the balance in their body to do well in a drift car. Because I think it's all about balance and understanding of how things feels.
Huh.
And
okay.
That's why.
I never put like MMA and boxing in there, but that's interesting. Yeah, because it's a lot of body feel, right?
Yeah, and I think if you say like if those people, there's a lot of people with different backgrounds. Let's say someone comes into drifting and amazes me. They've been doing motocross. Okay, and now I know why you get it so fast. Because it took me some time to get into drifting to understand how the car feels and how the car works, comparable to karting. But you can tell that people without no background, even just in a whole other sport, is coming into drifting and do pretty well right away.
Do you think you could recognize what somebody's automotive background is by the way they drift?
I think it's hard, but I would feel like someone from motocross is obviously the ones that are going really fast and like pushing really hard right away. I could tell by the guys that are really aggressive comes from motocross. And there's a lot of people that does.
I wonder if there's like something with like the body. Yeah.
They hurt their body many times, so they have to go somewhere else. They have to be in a car now because their bones can't take it anymore.
I've heard that a few times. I think even Turk talked about it at one point where he's like, I'm one bad crash away from, that's it. I can't do anything. So why not get the same feeling or a similar feeling, but at least have a roll cage and a harness and arm restraints and everything else.
It's way better. I don't know how they do that motocross thing. Like if I started when I was 6, maybe I could do it. But you obviously don't going to start motocrossing when you're 30, right?
I mean,
not
maybe
go on the big jumps.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's hit the big jumps.
I just got back into hockey, man. So, which I know. I mean, are you still playing hockey at all?
I'm considering it every off season, but I heard about the people get hurt, so I managed to stay out for a couple of years now. But yeah, it's good for the thing like balance and your body strength and all that. But it's all good till you hit the wall in 30 miles an hour when someone hits you, right?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Well, yeah, I mean, I stayed in net, but I did. Yeah. What? I have to ask, like, why Pittsburgh? Like, if you're going to pick a hockey team to follow out of Norway, why did you go with Pittsburgh?
I just liked, in like 10 years ago, I was watching hockey a lot when Matt Zuccarello went to New York Rangers. He was our only Norwegian that came to NHL. And that kind of caught my interest a bit. But the thing is, like, Pittsburgh had a really good team back then. They had Malkin, Crosby, they had Fleury in goal, I think. It was just like the team that had the most stars that I really felt it was entertaining to watch. I was always watching hockey back home, But now it's like, I don't have a favorite team. I think every team has their own stars that are worth following. And I think it's hard to pick a team. So it's not Pittsburgh anymore. And it's never been a diehard Pittsburgh fan, but
that's fair.
I like hockey.
Yeah. I'm trying to get back and watch more this season. But because I have so much free time on my hands that I should pick up another hobby. So,
yeah.
Can you explain to me how you got the stunt driving role in, and this is roughly translated, Long Flat Balls 3, Broken Promises.
Yeah, there was actually, we're a small group of people. Yeah, it's a good title.
It's a great title.
Sure. We had, last year, we had a premiere show here in in Costa Mesa.
Yeah.
Where they showed the movie in Norwegian for a small crowd.
Really?
And they thought it was hilarious. Yeah, it was a good thing because the guy that made the film, he's from our town back in Norway, but he lives in LA.
Oh, so when Freddie brought like a whole bunch of Norwegians over last year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, Freddie had some Norwegians. We had some Norwegians over from our city. It was like a big clan that went to the premiere of the movie. So it was pretty fun. But yeah, I got that role because obviously my friend Joachim has the main role of driving the pickup truck with the J-turn and stuff. But we're more like in the background. But it's not safe to be in the background either to be the fake traffic, because people is everywhere. But there's a small group of people that come from drifting that maybe, let's say we're 10 people that can do stunt jobs in Norway that has like a reputation. But it was my friend that got me into this, and I just said, yes, let's do it. Because it's a local movie. It's a local name. It's a local movie from our city. And the dialect, the way they talk is just funny. Because it's from my city. It's just our city and another city that talks that way. It talks our language that way. So we made fun of a lot because we're from down south in Norway. We speak in a weird way. And so the movie is made on that dialect. So that's why it's funny. And it's the third one. And the third one was the best of them all.
I'm sorry I missed the first two. I had no idea.
Oh, you shouldn't. You got your night there. I
might sit through it. So you're, what town are you from then?
It's called Fredrikstad. So it's Fredrik, almost like Fredrik town, Fredrikstad, yeah.
So if I remember correctly, southern Norway speaks much slower, right?
Where we're from we're not talk slow. We're talking fast, and we have a lot of strange words. I would say strange way of pronouncing the words. Where Simon is from is more south. Okay. They say the R in a different way, and they speak slower.
Okay.
So it's different dialects wherever you go in Norway. And that's a bit funny as well.
Could you there's a lot of countries like that. I mean, Canada's similar, like, Newfies sound different than people from BC. Is there a comparison in the US? Like what your region would be if it was in America?
I would hope to be from down south, I like that, the way they talk. It's pretty cool.
The drawl.
And you can definitely hear, when they're from down south. Texas and stuff like that. And so I feel like
close to that.
Yeah. I feel like, let's say, because we speak down south will be the right way because there's a lot of American muscle cars. We celebrate 4th of July, a lot of people in our cities. And there's, Sorensen was over and he was like 4th of July, so more American cars than they do in 4th of July over here. It's like, so we're from that part of the country.
That's so funny. I forgot that he went over. Right. Oh, man. I'm sure that was a bit of a culture shock for him, too.
I think he had fun.
I think so, too. I saw some pictures. I mean, I don't know if they all got posted, but it looked like he had fun.
Yeah. It is a good time.
That's good. Did you ever actually meet Vettel, or was it just a very convincing wax figurine?
Wax figure.
It was a wax figure? Okay.
Or was it? No, it's a wax figure. In London. It was a wax museum in London. But he looked real, right?
It looked really real. When I was like scrolling through, I was like, wait a minute. And then I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I have to clarify.
I think it's still at the museum. I think it's still there.
Okay. Well, maybe next time I'm in London, I'll go stop by. This one is a fan request. Can you show me the shrimp dance?
I don't remember. I can't remember how it's done. It's too early out. If it was in Norway, it's the middle of the night, I can do it. But I don't remember how it goes.
What is the shrimp dance? Like what?
I don't know. People just ask me on the middle of the night sometimes, can you do the shrimp dance? And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't remember how it is.
This is like an ongoing...
embarrassing. Okay.
Man, you had to
question.
You had to know these questions were coming.
Yeah, I love him. Bring him on.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I don't remember.
All right. Well, next time I see you, I'm gonna feed you a couple beers and ask about the shrimp dance.
Yeah, we can record it then.
All right, cool. Well, maybe I'll see. I'm gonna ask around. I got some friends in Norway now. Maybe there's a video recording we can splice in here and show the world the shrimp dance.
So I got to be careful now. That's what you're saying.
There might already be out there. There might already be recordings. Maybe. All right. Now, I only have a few days before this comes out to find the shrimp dance and put it in here.
Let's hope you don't.
I know. Cool. So back in 2016, you actually made a Facebook post predicting that you would be in Formula Drift one day. How did you know? Because like so many of you drivers have this moment where you see FD and you guys make the claim. And everybody that I've talked to that said that, I can go back and find the post. And I wanted to find it with you, and I did find it. How did you know? Like, how did you know at that point in time that was what you were going to do?
It's the story is that when Frederick did it back in the days, I saw that it was possible doing it, and I knew I had the capability in me as a driver. Sounds weird to say, but I felt like my progression was going in the right direction. But it wasn't just FD; it was about where do I want to be successful? Where do I want to go when I get older? When I grow up? And I always loved America. I always wanted to go there. I was there once in 2009, and I was hooked in America. I just loved it. And I wanted to go drifting in America where there's palm trees, warm weather, a lot of fans. And it looked like a dream for me because I obviously didn't make it to Formula One. So I was just from 2012 and 2013 when we did Drift All Stars, that was Drift Masters today. And I did well. I felt like, let's go to reach our goal to go to FD. And in 2016, I did the Scandinavian Championship that was hosting. They gave out a license for Pro Spec if you won the championship. So we rebuilt my car and went there and won the championship. And like my goal from 2013 has been to go to FD. But I thought it was real. That was a real possibility in 2016. That when we started planning with Frederick about Chucky and all that stuff. And in 2016, by the end of the year, I kind of knew it. I didn't have the money.
Yeah,
I still don't, but I was pushing in that direction, and I'm that type of guy. If I'm deciding to do something, nothing can stop me. It's just like I'm gonna do everything in my power and a little bit more to make it happen. Yeah,
because like I always want to highlight the life outside of FD, and I mean, unless it's changed, I mean, you work in car sales for a living. Like you're taking your vacation to make this happen. And you and I have talked about budgeting. Like you're basically putting everything that you've got into FD to make sure it can happen.
Yeah. And I obviously do. And I quit my job now to start my own business selling cars. And I think that's the way to do it, because then I can work really hard when I'm back home. I can even import, export cars, and I can take the time off without having a bad feeling about it, because it only goes on myself and my girlfriend, because we're pushing everything when I'm back home to sell cars. And when I go here, I still feel bad about leaving work. That's how it was. So it's tough. It's a tough moment to quit my job and start by my own. But I think that's the move I had to do to get further in my career. And yeah, I had 5 weeks vacation. That's what you get in Norway. I managed to get 10, but 5 of the other ones are not paid, Because in Norway, they take out 5 weeks of your salary. And if you do more than 5 weeks, they're pulling out every week of your monthly salary. So I was, when I go here, I'm unpaid,
So yeah, because I mean, almost everybody that's still working a job in FD is they're almost all working for themselves. I actually can't think of anybody who doesn't work for themselves that's in FD. Like it's the only way.
I think it's the only way, because then you feel like when you do well for yourself. And when you do not that well, you're only yourself to blame, right? And that's the way we are in the sport as well as athletes. So I think the comparison to work with the side work and the athlete way of thinking about it is going to be just the same, because you're going to put all the effort in there, the same as you do in the sport. And for me, it's like I'm putting all the effort, even on bad days, good days, I'm pushing everything to proceed my FD career. And I really wanted to have that feel in my workspace as well. Like where I'm working, selling cars, I want to feel the passion that I feel when I'm doing drifting. So that's why I'm trying to do it that way. And as you say, it's not many people that are in FD as a driver that is working for someone.
All right, all you podcast listeners, I managed to poke and prod Ryan Sage a little bit and save you some money on merch. So use code podcast23 at checkout. Save yourself 20% on your favorite FD merch, with the hats, shirts, lanyards, whatever it is that you want. Use code podcast23 at checkout. Save that money, get yourself some cool FD stuff, and we'll see you out there. I mean, all of like similar to driving, like all of the pressure and the onus and the success and failures in business, same as driving, it's all on you. Like you have no one to blame. Like that's the thing when you're self-employed. For anybody listening that hasn't made that jump, it's the scariest feeling doing it, because you're like, oh, cool. Like if I don't feel like working today, it just means that I don't make money. Whereas like, if you work for somebody else, you can kind of screw off for the day. Like, you can kind of have like a slow day and play on your phone, and it's, you're still getting paid. But like when it's you, that's it. For every moment you're not working, you're losing money.
True. And I think obviously drifting is a business as well. Like that's what I'm trying to proceed, making my name and my career a business. That's what we're all trying to do. And I think I'm getting closer and closer, but I'm still far away from being really successful in drifting. I'm not making money out of drifting yet. I'm trying to, but I'm trying to be smart. I'm trying to learn from the best. I'm trying to learn from everybody and take the best out of everybody to learn how to make that happen. And I think the car sales will still be with me as a hobby, even though I do well in drifting. I would still do it because I love it. I love selling cars. I love fixing cars. I love all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But I want it to be where I make money out of drifting. I just have to survive, I just wanted to be successful at the track and be successful for my sponsors and make a little bit of money so I can live on the side as well and don't have to be sleepless nights every night, So, but drifting is a business, and it's going to be a tougher and tougher business in years to come, I think, because everybody's trying and everybody's really good at what they're doing.
Yeah. What have you, I guess, like, what have you done to get by? I mean, I think like an example is, you partnered up with Beecham this year in transport, right? Like you guys both transported together. Last year, it was like you, Simon, and Jonathan, which is kind of how you and I got to know each other. That trailer was way overloaded though, which we can talk about now that it's over.
Yeah.
Like, what
it was.
And I think in the beginning too, you did work with Rad Dan. So like, what do you do to make this work then? Like, how do you figure this out?
The first year was Rad Dan because Frederick told me, call Dan, you will be a perfect fit for each other.
100%.
And I feel like I've been lucky to meet honest people. Like the first guy I met over here was Dan. And Dan is never did anything wrong. He's always been a good friend, always been polite, and always did what he said he would do. And to find those guys, it's really important. And all of those, like first year was rad, second year was rad as well. And we became almost best friends. We're best friends today. We're talking to each other every day. And Beecham as well. It's been really good. His whole family is taking care of me.
Great people.
When transporting, it's not an issue. They're always trying their best for me to have a good time. There's no like bad mood or anything. Everything is good. But I think it's all about getting those relationships going and follow them up, talk to them, and become friends. And you can't become friends with everybody, but these guys are really easy to become friends with. And I think it's important to have a transport because as a foreign driver, if you were to drive all the way, you have to like stay here 1 week prior to the race more and 1 week after the race more and drive around. And you have to buy a truck and trailer and all that. But it's a calculation, but for me, it makes sense to transport with someone else.
Do you have next year sorted yet? I know we kind of briefly touched on it, and like you're in the US for a bit to work out some plans, but like you don't have to get into specifics, but like what are you looking for right now? What's the plan? What are you doing while you're stateside?
I feel definitely that it's a good vibe going at the moment. I feel like I've gotten to know a lot of people that are good friends that I can trust. But nothing is planned. Nothing is confirmed for next year. I'm still open. I'm still trying to put feelers out there, move around to meet people and see if there's an opportunity. Because I've been doing 2 years in my own car. It's been ups and downs and not the results I wanted. I really want to show the people out there what I'm capable of and to win battles, do well, and move up. That's what I want to do. And I think for me at the moment, I'm looking for a team to drive for in a different car. I don't say my car is bad, but it needs like some things more to make it more competitive in the FD Pro level. And you need obviously more spares and more knowledge about the parts you're bringing and obviously the mechanics. So I'm at the point where I'm looking for a team to drive for, and I'm really trying to find a team suitable for me and find the sponsors, partners that wants to be on my team moving forward. That's what I'm trying to do. And I already have really good sponsors, partners that believe in me and have been pushing forward to make me successful. And I really want to continue work with those as well on the way. But I think for me, as a foreign driver, driving on a team like Simon this year, I think that's the way to go as a foreign driver. I think the level is so high over here. And I think doing it all by myself, having your plate full of all the thoughts and things all the time and focus more on driving is the way to go. So I don't know if there's any team out there yet, though. I don't have anything 100%, but I'm hoping for some opportunities to come on the table so I can discuss for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I personally would love to see Rad Dan come back. You guys already know each other well. The super matches, like that in my mind is the perfect fit. But I also don't know. I mean, I haven't chatted with Dan since Florida, so like I have no idea what he's up to. You don't have to like confirm or deny anything, but like that's just me, speculating. I think that would be kind of cool. But
definitely that's my dream as well, to drive with Dan and Renee. For Rad Industries. They're obviously my best friends over here, and they that will be a rad thing, right?
Look at you, this guy.
But I'm not sure. Like I could drive whatever. Like I really believe in the S chassis. I really believe in other chassis. And for me, a good thing, I've been driving a left-hand drive and a right-hand drive. I don't care about it. I don't think about it either, because my ice drifter is a right-hand drive. So I'm like kind of flexible. So for me, it's not just the car, it's the team. If I get a competitive team with everything around it that makes me comfortable and makes me have fun, I want to go out on the track and do my best,
Yeah.
Because it's all about feeling comfortable when you put yourself in the car and your focus is just, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to drive, I'm going to win. That have to be the focus. Not to be tired about how I did this and this and this.
Well, we've seen it like multiple times now, right? Like we saw it, James Dean to some perspective, like he that was kind of the setup that he had with Vorthaus. Chelsea Denofa jumping on, even Adam LZ performed significantly better with RTR than he did on his solo program. Simon, we can go back to old teams and stuff like that too, but like when you don't have to worry about the logistics and the fuel and how many tires did we order and are we getting lunch? Like, who do I have to send from the track? Like, those little things, if all you have to do is, like, get in the car and get hyped up and then drive it and be like, okay, even if I bin it, there's 3 mechanics that are ready to go that are just going to put the car back together, right?
Yeah. But the thing that has to be said, it's before getting to that, putting yourself in the car, putting on the seatbelts in April on Long Beach, there is so much work that needs to be done before getting there. And everybody has done it to get on that seat spot, that team, looking all the names you said. Yeah. And I'm willing to put down that work. And I think it's better putting on that work off season and getting ready for the season. And then you can focus on what you're doing. But I think, I've seen successful drivers not do well by their own. And I've seen successful drivers get the right things around them to do well.
Yeah.
And I think everybody, look at the Formula 1 drivers, they have everything is sorted for them. And everybody is capable of bringing their A game, right?
Yeah, I mean, in F1, it really comes down to the cars in a lot of cases.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but I mean, that being said, like we still see like large splits in between drivers. I mean, look at Red Bull right now. Same car, two drivers, one's in first, one of them might lose second. Mercedes, George Russell's performing better than Lewis in a lot of races, although points wise. But anyways, this is not an F1 podcast. I keep turning it into an F1 podcast. I'm sure people are sick of it. So
we're interested in all racing though. That's why, right?
Yeah, I think it's the for me, like it gives me like when I watch like the broadcast and I watch like the interviews and like all the pre-show and post-show, like I'll watch practice. Like I don't care. But I take it in as like, okay, this is like what we can work towards. This is a level of professionalism, from my podcasting and announcing side. Like I want to understand how they operate. And I know drivers wise, like you've seen, Vaughn and Matt, for example, doing a lot of the warm-up and reflexes games to try and get into the right state of mind and to make sure that they're warmed up, which is stuff that is pulled from other motorsports. So like, I think it's ignorant not to look at other forms of motorsport to try and pull inspiration or ideas from, because drifting is a homologation of all of those. Like we talked about it before. It is the most difficult part of every motorsport put into one. Like that's...
Yeah, it is.
It is. Yeah, it's the worst. Like, I mean, it's the best, but it's the worst. Like,
I'm doing the same as you. I like to watch all those things, and not particularly maybe the driving. I watch the drivers, the race as well, of course. But I love watching the interviews before the race, after the race, and I think it helps me learn, see what they're doing, and see what people are doing. What I like to be. What version would I be of myself? It helps you to be the best version of yourself, because you can tell that guy is doing better, but maybe. It's just me thinking that, but I like to imagine myself in the same position and think how things would be. And I think definitely F1 is professional, and that's a good thing. But I also think drifting should be professional, but it should stay a little bit like a surfer style thing, where people can have their own style. Yeah. And F1 is pushing towards that as well. You can look at Valtteri Bottas. He's tougher on how he haircuts and stuff like that. And I think the sport has more characters now in F1 as well. And I think it's cool. Well, you're able to be yourself.
Yeah, like I think Daniel Ricciardo really broke that open, where like you could have fun. And then we see Valtteri where like, he's got a mullet or he runs the mustache. Like he could never do that at Mercedes. There's no way in hell Mercedes would ever let him have a mullet. He looks great. Looks amazing.
Yeah.
So,
but I think people are like Ricciardo is a character. I think Ricciardo, he could be serious when he needs to, obviously. But I think he's one of the guys we need in F1. And I think for me, he's one of the coolest guys on planet. Like, I think he has the charisma. He's really good at talking to people, treating people. I think he's a really good role model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do
look
think
up to him. I think it's funny.
I think FD we have a lot of characters. Like we really have a lot of characters. And like, I'm hoping with this show and like other things that are in the works to be able to show that more. Cause like, that's what gets people hooked. Like the reason why F1 got so big in the US so quickly was Drive to Survive highlighted the personalities of the people. So you learn to love them. Right. And that's like, same thing with this. Like I want people to leave this and be like, I really like Ola Jaeger. Like I'm going to cheer for him. I'm going to watch it. Yeah. No, you're good shit. You're
I got 1 hour, 45 minutes with that guy. He's out.
Yeah. Okay, done.
You never know.
Yeah. No. I mean, you and I chat almost every round. And we've hung out numerous occasions. I'd like to hang out more. Still trying to get another pass back to Norway. I gotta figure that out. I wanted to come back ice racing again so bad. Jonathan kept breaking the car, so I didn't get as many laps. I hope he hears this. So. Yeah.
But it's good. I love. That's what I love about FD as well. Like you meet everybody everywhere. You can talk to everybody, and you can have some good times. And I think, that's. I love driving, and I really want to be around here. I love the family. Like it's become my family, FD. And I feel like I have 10 years more that I can do over here, and I really want to make those 10 years successful and a lot of fun on the way. Because the previous 2 years has been fun, even though the result hasn't been good. We had a lot of fun. I met a lot of people like you. Like others, we had a lot of fun. And it's obviously worth it. And I think we're getting better and better.
Yeah.
the whole sport
I mean,
together.
it comes with time, and it's tough. Like you said, like pro's no joke. It's really no joke, and it's so much different. And it's not just 4 more rounds. It's I feel like it's like 10 times the work, not twice the work.
It's almost like a year. Like the off season now, it's just a couple of months, and it's not an off season. It's full-time work.
Yeah,
it is full-time work.
So,
but it's fun.
What are your? I guess like, given the position you're in right now, like, what is your plans for SEMA? Like, how do you go into something like SEMA? Like, what do you hope to get out of it? I mean, I'm trying to, maybe inspire some of the younger guys who are trying to figure out their programs and stuff. Because like you have good sponsors on board. You've got a decently funded program. I mean, it could always be more, and I'm sure you'd love to not have to worry about money. But like, I guess like, what tips can you give the younger group of people listening as to getting that kind of sponsorship?
I'm trying to be critic to myself. Like, I'm too critical sometimes. But what I try to do is look at things that I'm good at and also be honest and look at things I'm not good at and try to maybe outsource some of the things and look at who's doing best in social media, who's the best to do. I'm trying to get help from someone else to do the things that I'm not that good at and be honest about that on me and on myself. And I think that was a big step for me, telling myself, you're not the best guy on social media. You need some help. Or you're not the best guy on this one, but you're really good at meeting people and being social. So for me, I'm going into SEMA in a 2-way perspective. I want to go into SEMA and try to book some meetings. It's obviously not the easiest to book meetings and have tons of meetings. But let's say I get 5 meetings out of SEMA, sit downs. I think that's a good amount for me. And I think the other way of looking at it is go around after dark, like talk to people, just walk around, meet people in the city. Like everywhere there's car people, everywhere you can meet someone that knows someone that could put you in the right direction. So for me, it's almost most about the social thing, talking to people and meet new people and seeing familiar faces and be in the environment. But on SEMA, I'm trying to get meetings and sit downs and talk to people. But for me, also walk around and meet new people. So what I do to prepare, I just go through the whole exhibitor list, trying to find someone that I'm trying to look at them the way that, could this company fit Ola Jaeger? So I go to their webpage, look at their thing, look at their colors, look at their branding, look at what they're doing. And I'm trying to see where are they at. And I'm trying to find those that maybe I would love to work with, because then it's easier for me to go into a meeting or go and say hi and meet the guys or the girls and say, I'm the perfect fit for you, and believe in it, what I'm saying. Like, it's true. Because I don't want to work with a company that I don't believe in. I'm too honest to be working with someone that I don't like. I need to work with people I like. And I need to be surrounded by people I like. I think that's important too. I don't think my brand will always be people that I trust and brands that I can stand behind straight up and tell I believe in the brand. I feel that's really important as a brand ambassador, that you really believe in the brand. And for me, that's obviously sometimes maybe in the future you have to forget some of that. But for me, I'm trying to build this stone by stone in a healthy way, instead of pushing and leaving guys behind in the past that I had before. I try to be respectful, bring my sponsors for many years, looking at it long term instead of just a 1-year thing. So I think when you approach someone, you should really think about it and really imagine yourself working with them before approaching and see if that could be a fit. That's my thought, but I'm not an expert.
No, that's really interesting. The color thing is something that's not something I've even thought of, which is, it's refreshing for me. Cause like, I've been in this space for a while, and like, I never thought to like, just look at the branding. If their colors match your colors, like it's a way easier fit, right?
Yeah, or like, let's say when you have a certain sponsor you already have, you have to see if there's crashing with them, and the color's maybe not the most important thing, but it's there as well, you know? So, you have to like look at your whole package as a brand, and the sponsors you already have, they're important for them. Importance for them is to not do something that is not working with them as well. Because it's a business to business with everybody at the end of the day.
you can't have like two clutch companies, right? Like you can't have two competitors, or like the hard part is like figuring out what brand is owned by what other brand, right? Like I feel like what was Wheel Pros is now relabeled Hoonigan. Like they own like 58 brands. So like you might find that you're competing against one of their competitors because that brand is owned by this. Like that whole structure is just a complete other nightmare too, of figuring out that like, you know, oh, I can't go to if I run Holly, I can't use a different brand that maybe is, you know, competing with them in a different space or something.
No, I don't think that's the best way of going, but it's tough.
No,
it's a lot of brands out there, and it's a lot of, I think the car culture over here is obviously huge compared to Norway, looking at brands that are in the sport. And there's so many good brands as well, competitive brands. So I think there's many people out there trying to get all the partners on board, but I think it's still possible. That's why I'm still trying.
Mm-hmm. What do you think it would take you to move to the US full time? Like, what would be something somebody would have to say for you to be like, yeah, I guess I'm moving to America now?
I think I'd always had my base back home in a way, and have, because being home, let's say the winter time, a few months is good as well. And, but I don't know, follow the dream. And, if someone say that you have to move, then we have to move. I'll bring my whole family.
Just bring everybody.
My mom and dad, everybody's going. My brother, girlfriend, her daughters, everyone's going.
It would be, I guess, like, I mean, the support's there, right? Like the family, like if you went home and you told your parents like, hey, you know, I got offered a position at whatever team, I have to move to America, like that, it would just be yes. Like there'd be no question. They'd just be like, yeah, go for it. Yeah. That's crazy. It's so cool to have that support, right?
It is. And my girlfriend as well, we're all pushing in the same direction. She wants me to do well, and we're doing it all. So this is like, it become like, I have my neighbor from back home, where my parents live, called me earlier today, asked me how it's going because it's been around the neighbor since I was a little kid. And I have the support. Like I got support from my family, and I think it's really important. Like my mom and dad is really good to me, and they want me to succeed. And it's really important to have that support. I feel like it's way easier to push as hard as I'm doing and being at the limit economically all the time and stuff like that. It's easier when you have a solid family that supports your dreams. And it's been, they've heard about it for 15 years now. So they know that I'm committed, and I still am. And the support is important for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't imagine. I mean, even with all the craziness I live through now day to day, like if I came home and had a wife who was like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Why are you doing that? That's silly. Like, I wouldn't be doing this. Right. Like the fact that I can come home and be like, hey, I'm going to be gone for 10 days in California partying. I hope that's okay with you. And she's like, yeah, go for it. Have fun. Like,
it's important to have that support, right?
Yeah.
It's, and we're all in it together. So we're going to make it happen, and we're going to make it happen. I'm positive.
So on the tire debate, there's like all these conversations about, you know, FD needs, let's just keep going crazy with tires versus these cars are getting too fast and they're not sustainable. Where do you fall in this?
I'm divided a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel at the moment we're just learning it. We're adjusting our cars to the way that it's working. Maybe the other way, going with a smaller tire or whatever, would make things differently, I think. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think we're all good enough to adopt to whatever rule comes out there. But I think getting more brands in is a good thing, and the bad, it's difficult. It's a complex thing because getting more brands would have made it easier for more drivers, I guess. If you had more brands in, there would be even higher competition between the brands, and maybe more drivers could get support on tires. But the tire rule, I think, if everybody had like the same tire, almost the same tire, it would have been a good thing. But then you have the chassis is different as well. But drifting is so different in so many ways. Engines, setup, everything. I don't think you will ever get that, brand manufacturer race series or whatever that we have in other sports. But I would maybe wish we had a stickier front tire.
Okay.
On the same tire we're at now.
So like allow like 140s or 200s or something in the front, but stick with the 300 in the rear.
Yeah. I would do that.
Interesting.
I think that could change some things, but that's only thoughts though.
Yeah, because we're pushing so much rear grip. We've seen it where the front slip out. I mean, Irwindale is a great example of that. Like two or three guys just lost grip in the front and the car smashed into the wall.
And it looks weird from the outside. And I get people that has never been to an FD event in real life looking at the live stream. It looks ridiculous. It looks stupid that we're hitting the wall that way. Yeah. But I think we are pushing so hard and we're at the limit already and at the edge. And at some point you're going to hit the wall with the front because you're pushing too hard.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
But
like
I get
unlimited
that
front.
It looks a little bit weird when it happens, but it's like from inside the car, you're just like pushing and pushing and pushing. And all of a sudden it's just like, okay, we're passengers.
Yeah. We're passengers.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I think that'd be cool, especially like if it was completely unlimited. Like you could run a racing slick front and then a 300 treadwear rear. Like we could see some crazy angle and still have speed, right?
I think so, but I think if it got too crazy again, I think it's not a good thing as well.
I think we'd start breaking front knuckles.
At that point, something's going to happen, and the cars will drive totally differently. I don't think. Yeah, but it's a fun idea to test though. It would have been testing a slick tire with pattern or something like that.
Yeah, just like that's it. I like that. That's a new one. I've never heard anybody propose that one. Yeah.
It would have been cool.
Yeah, we still got time. Do it this offseason. If you got some downtime, we'll get some slicks out to you and let's give Kenda a call. I don't think Kenda has any slicks, but maybe we'll see what they can pull out.
You never know.
I know. Yeah, never know. I know they're working. I mean, I can't say too much, but I know the tires that we're seeing right now are not the tires that we're going to see coming soon, which is pretty cool. So I think they've taken feedback and they're working on it.
Yeah, Kenda is new this year at the pro level, and they're a group of guys that are pushing really hard to move forward. Mm-hmm. And you could tell by their appearance the first year how they came in. They've been solid, serious. They're good. They did good brand wise. Their visibility is good. I think they came in hot, and it's just a matter of time till they're the best.
Yeah,
they're pushing
just development.
They're pushing out. Yeah, they're pushing really hard, and it's the first year, and everyone's first year is not going to be perfect, no matter what you do. Mm-hmm. So I think they're on the right way, and they're doing their best. Like they're a good group of people.
Yeah, we're asking a company to develop a tire for the most ridiculous conditions that a tire will ever go through. Like it's crazy.
It's no way to test it. It's hard to test it, right?
Yeah.
You got to test it at the level, at a pro level, at the pro track. And you don't get that testing on the off season, no matter what you're going to do.
Yeah. No, you don't. And you don't get it at the temperature either. That's the hard part. Like you can take that car to Irwindale in the middle of February and that's fine and run that layout, but it's not going to be 95 degrees. And you're not going to...
And you're not pushing that hard as well. Like,
yeah. Yeah. If you're just demoing the car, you're not driving as hard as you would in qualifying or in competition.
No.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, but it's true. Like, I feel like the best practice, you could say that ice drifting is a really good practice. It's for sure is. But I feel like the best practice is race practice. When you're doing a round, when you're doing a round in FD, that's the best practice you get. To get the best practice, you would have all the guys out there for a track day and tell them that it's competition. Or if you don't do this, you're going to die or something like that. You're going to push, you never be able to push as hard as you do. I'm struggling to find that thing in my head where I can push as hard as I do in a competition battle. Even on practice is hard, I think.
I just don't think you can. I don't think mentally you can put yourself in that same place. Like, I don't know. Like, what do you like in the car? Like, what do you do to warm up or get your head straight? Like, do you have a ritual once you're in the car?
I do some breathing things.
Okay.
Like I breathe in a certain way. before I go, and I visualize myself winning the battle. And before I'm going through the run, I'm just trying to think that it's practice, but at the same time, I'm trying to be. I really want to do my things before getting to the battle. It's not that I'm not going to do well if I don't do it, but I feel like the breathing thing and thinking the right thoughts and telling myself it's not dangerous. Like, it's not dangerous to lose. You know what I mean? Like, if you lose, you lose. It doesn't matter. But I'm trying to tell myself those things. And I think it's really important to uncomplicate things before a battle.
What breathing method do you use?
Like, I take long breaths when I inhale. Mm-hmm. I inhale through my mouth, like long time, and I breathe out through the nose, because then I have to do it in a certain, I count seconds, like 10 seconds in, 10 seconds out.
Oh, so like big, long breaths then.
Yeah. Because it calms me all the way down, like from my head all the way down, it calms me down.
That's cool. I've done a lot of like reading on breathing techniques and things like that. And it was one of those things where I was always like, it's just like woo crap. And then the more that I've done some of them and like practice them, like even with my kids, like when they're having like a freak out, like there's some breathing techniques that I've learned that like it calms them down super quick. If nothing else, it just like breaks their pattern. Yeah.
But I heard you have to do it in a certain way and stuff like that. And that kind of just stressed me out. How I did it wrong. So I just started doing it how I felt it was good to do it. But it works. It works for me. But it works at least at times you manage to do them.
Yeah. I always wonder that, like, the ritual of getting ready. Like, I had a ritual when I played hockey a lot of like, I would have to put on one side first and then move over. And like, I don't think you're superstitious. It doesn't sound like it, but I know some drivers are super, super superstitious. So I'm always curious, like, what you guys do before you get in the car.
I have some things as well, like in the car when I get there, I have to do some certain buttons on the car a couple of times and stuff like that. But it's where I'm really focused. I have to like test the windshield wiper or stuff like that. Some weird stuff, but I know the button's turned on, but I need to like turn it off and on a couple of times. And it's not stress, but it's just like for me to like make sure. Oh,
okay. Like it's working. And then you're like, was it actually working? Like, okay, no, it's definitely working.
Like, I don't think I care if it was a button or just a fake button. I just like, I need to like do it twice or 3 times. It's just like a weird thing. But it comes and goes. So.
It goes.
I never know.
This is where we need that Type S inside dash cam. Like I'd love to see a compilation of like the 15 seconds before a run starts, like what every driver does. If there's like a pattern there.
Yeah, I've seen it. They've pulled some inboard footage for me as well. It's really good, and I've seen a few. It's fun to see because you can see. It's even cool to see yourself doing it because you can tell the different battles and you know the outcome of the battle. And it's good to see not only in forward seeing the run, but actually seeing yourself and be honest about what you thought went wrong and what actually you did in the car. Yeah, did I pull the handbrake? Did I downshift? And it's a good thing to see what you're doing yourself. And I think it would be cool to have inboard live as well.
I agree.
Like
I think
F1,
it's I think it's in the works. I know there's been a lot of software and hardware testing this year to like get some stuff ready. So I do think it's in the works. I agree. I want to see like, for me from the outside as somebody who really analyzes what a car does in motion. I don't have as much data on the inboard. I have a fair bit from just watching a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that. But like, I think the biggest thing I've always wanted to convey to people is like, if you see a mistake in zone 2, it's usually because of a mistake in zone 1. Like, it's something very, very small that happens. Like you leave a zone late or early or at a weird angle. And if you know to spot it, you can almost predict what's going to happen. And like, what's been fun is like, even in the announcing side, is you'll hear me like gasp or be like, oh my God, well before it looks like somebody's about to crash. Cause like now it's in my brain where I can see it. Irwindale, there's a couple cases where, at the transition point at the inner clip, I can already tell what's about to happen if they're going to fill that zone or not. Like it's wild how you start to develop that almost it's not an instinct. It's just you recognize that there's a problem early and what it could be later on.
And it's fun to see the fans and hear the fans as well, because they're also really developed. They've been at the events for many years, and you can tell that they're gasping as well already before the crash hits.
Yeah.
And it's definitely true. Your mistake happens often way before the hit comes. So already you're about to crash, pretty early inside the car.
Yeah, as you said, you just become a passenger.
Become a passenger.
It's so perfect.
And it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling.
I bet. I've never crashed anything at that speed. You've had a couple of big hits over the year. What's been like the scariest one?
I think the one in Riga and Drift All Stars in 2013 at the Bikerniki track. I was going through the first right-hander, and when you go full throttle between the two corners. Yeah, I was sitting too long on the starting line, and I didn't know I have to warm up my front tires again. So I went full throttle in there, like, let's say 98, 100 miles an hour, full throttle, and couldn't straighten up the car. So it was just hitting the wall in my front, and I flew a 180. I didn't flip, but I flew 180 in the fence inside there. And it was just 20 minutes before qualifying on practice. It was scary, but it was like, I didn't care about it after. We came fourth in the round the same day, but like, Still, it was. I was a real passenger. It was like, this car won't steer. How do I want to hit? The car is going to hit no matter what I do. Do I want to hit with the front or the back?
Interesting.
You're trying to predict.
You kind of had enough time. Like, obviously, it's really fast when it all happens, but you had enough time to acknowledge, like, oh, I'm in trouble now. I just have to figure out what's going to happen next.
It was like, I'm definitely going to hit, and I was just like, how hard am I going to hit? This is going to hurt. And it's like, I was trying to flip the car in the right direction, but I don't think that would help when you're in the air with the whole car.
Were you still trying to steer? Yeah. I want to find the clip of this, to see if you're still trying to like turn the car. Yeah.
It's a bad thing. It was 10 years ago. We didn't have too much. Like the live stream was just one camera and stuff.
Potato footage, as we call it. Looks like it was filmed on a potato.
Yeah, it's cool.
I want to go back and find that. I know. I've heard of that crash. I don't know if I've actually seen it though, but I think it's got to live somewhere.
I think so. There was a lot of crashing there. And I remember Jack Shanahan was 13 years at that time. Yeah. 13 years old. And he was the fastest speed on initiation of all of us. He had 160 kilometers in between the first corners. In between, went through the first corner and still had 160 kilometers an hour.
Okay, so here's a good one, because this debate's been going on for a while, and obviously we've got like the RSR event that's coming up. If you were to take a true world event of like all the drifters, let's say we take 3 from every nation. So 3 from Ireland, 3 from Norway, 3 from the US, 3 from Japan, 3 from wherever else. Who do you actually think would take that win?
Oh,
you can hurt feelings. You can hurt feelings. It's fine.
I think at the moment, if you bring Jack Shanahan or his brother Connor over here, or like not over here, but like to that event, I think they will have a fair chance of doing it. I think I would put my money on one of those guys.
They are insane, which is cool too, because like they were in Irwindale. I bugged them a whole bunch.
They're good people as well. They're true racers.
Great people. Their dad, when I was in Germany, had a couple of drinks, and he has a very, very thick Irish accent. And he was talking to me for what felt like an hour, and I didn't understand a word of it. And then I left, and my buddy Mike Walton from the British Drifting Championship came over. He's like, you probably just agreed to do a whole bunch of stuff that you'll never know about. And I'm like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah, they're funny.
Yeah,
but I think they're at the top of the game at the moment as well. They've been for many years. Yeah, they're like competitive wherever they go, and I feel like there's a lot of Japanese drivers as well. You know that Hiro was coming up. And did good in FD Japan. I think he's a really good driver, really good sim driver as well. Seems like he's a really consistent driver. I like his driving style because he's consistent and fluid, but still aggressive. And I think the world has a lot to see in years to come, I think that we're going to get a lot of aggressive new drifters up and coming pretty fast through the field in a couple of years.
Yeah.
But that event I would go to myself as well that you talked about. I think that sounded pretty funny. Let's do it. Bring everybody somewhere to a grassroots event with grassroots cars.
That's what I'm getting at is like, obviously if you were to take, we've seen it, like you take a lot of Japanese drivers and bring them over to FD and it's tough. I mean, although Wataru and Kazuya have both done, I mean, Kazuya did phenomenal in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And then, same thing. We bring European drivers over. A lot of the times it's a bit of a struggle. But then I always question, like, okay, if we were to take FD drivers and put them in Japan, where it is all about fluidity and it's all about style and the speed and the tire hookup isn't as necessary, would they be able to do as well? Or take US drivers and put them in Drift Masters, like what would happen then? Like that, it's all these like weird fantasy battles that like play out in my head of like, how could this actually work? So
I agree. That's a funny thought. Like, I think it would have been fun to see for sure.
Yeah.
But maybe that comes in the future. Maybe we'll have more of those like meetings between countries and drivers and cars. Mm-hmm. It would have been fun to see.
Give them all like 600 treadwear tires. Like, I mean, like make them skate, right? Like let's take all the speed out of it and see what happens. I think it'd be a way different event at that point.
Yeah. But I think that's the thing with FD that is fun as well, that it's so hooked up and the cars are so complicated. And I think that's why it's the best series in the world, Like, we're pushing harder than everyone else. We're always pushing to change the rules, change direction, get faster, get better. And every single one on every team is doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's why I think it's always...
But different.
Right, exactly. They're doing it their own way. Like, I think that's why it's so... I get frustrated a lot when I see like people like, oh, this series is better than that. I'm like, they're all different. They're all trying to do very different things. Like, the rules are different. The judging is different. The mindset is different. The styles are different. Like, it's so hard to compare them. And it's like trying to judge a fish on how well it climbs a tree, right? Like, it's not going to be good at climbing trees. The squirrel's going to do much better, but because you're judging something based on a different set of rules and circumstances. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I want to see a total fantasy battle of like, let's do it in like 3 different, do one in the US, one event in the US, one event in Europe, one event in Japan, use European judges at their home country, US judges in their home country, Japanese judges in their home country, and then really see who would do the best. I think that would be sick.
It would have been awesome.
We need some big money. Ola, when you're at SEMA, find us a sponsor to make this happen.
Okay, I'll let them know and see what happens.
Yeah, let me know how that works out for you. I'll give you a hand.
I will. I'll keep you posted.
Cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Sick. Well, is there anything else that you want to cover, discuss? Anything we missed?
No. I feel like we've been through a little bit. Yeah, I'm just glad to be here. Be on your podcast. Your famous podcast. I'm finally on it. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, it's good.
I love it. It's good to have a sit down after the season and talk. And I think it was the right moment to have it after the season. We can talk about things and we can, have thoughts. And I think it's important to share with the fans as well what I'm thinking and who am I and what I'm doing. And I feel it's a good way of doing it. And the vibe is good in your studio.
Thank you. Because you're in my studio. One day I would like to have it where like I can fly you guys into a studio and we can do it face to face. But I mean, this isn't too bad. Maybe same thing when we get all that funding, when we get this big, Elon Musk money for this drift series, we'll do the podcast that way too.
Yeah, on a plane, right? You have your own plane as a studio?
Yes, private jet. That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that won't be cheap, but for some reason, I got like a TikTok video today of like explaining how private jets break down. Not that I'm in the market for a private jet, but like...
I don't want to know.
Dude, it's crazy how expensive it is. It's like mind-numbingly expensive. So
I'm not going to buy one next year, so I can wait.
If you do, I mean, at least we announced it here first, right?
Okay, deal.
Yeah. All right, cool. Dude, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad we got this all started. I'm excited. I'll probably see you at SEMA. We'll have to go for a drink and an overpriced steak at some point. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming on. And for anybody listening, make sure to check out Ola's socials. As much as he says that he's not the best at it, they're very honest, which is cool. You're very transparent about everything. And that's the part I like the most about your socials.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Cool. Well, sorry, I realized my mouse just died. Very unelegant way to end this. But for everybody at home listening, thank you for listening. If we manage to get footage of the shrimp dance, we will add, you will have already seen it. If you're just listening, make sure to go back and watch in case the shrimp dance did appear. I'm going to start bribing people very soon to get that footage.
We'll see.
Sick. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Guys. And we'll talk to everybody next week.
Oh, no! Boy! Whoa! Boy, go! Go! Knock him out!